Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday morning, August 29th. The tropics are coming alive as we end the month of August. First day of September is on Thursday, and certainly looks like we'll have some systems to monitor over the Labor Day weekend and probably for the next, at least the next week to 10 days or so. It's been a very quiet month of August. There's a chance that we actually get a named storm between now and the time the month ends on Wednesday night at midnight. And we'll focus in on that particular threat as it'll head slowly towards the U.S. East Coast over the next week to 10 days or so. Whether it ultimately reaches the coast is still certainly up in the air, but it's something we'll talk about here over the next several minutes and monitor over the next several days. This is the latest infrared satellite image of the tropical Atlantic, and there are really four different systems out there right now of note, something that we'll monitor over the next several days. First of all, this area right here in the northwestern part of the Caribbean Sea, and none of these, by the way, are named systems at this particular time, but one of them will have a pretty good chance, I think, of becoming a named system over the next perhaps 24 to 48 hours, if not then, certainly over the next 3 or 4 days or so. This is system number one. This is probably the least important, the least significant system right here. Here's another system that is perhaps the most important one at the current time. It is not well organized, but conditions will improve for more organization, more intensification over the next couple of days, and if not the next couple of days, certainly over the next 4 or 5 days or so. This is a system that really bears watching as it will move in this fashion over the next several days. Meanwhile, another wave has just come off the west coast of Africa, certainly something we'll also monitor over the next several days. So multiple systems on the table right now. No named storm, but this one right here in the central tropical Atlantic is likely to become a named system. Very well could be a threat to monitor for the U.S. East Coast in about a week to 10 days or so. It's certainly not known yet if it'll make it all the way to the coast or turn to the north and east before it ever reaches the U.S. East Coast. Well, here's the depiction of these particular systems by NOAA's National Hurricane Center. Again, one system we pointed to in the northwest Caribbean. Certainly has to be monitored because it's pretty close by to the Gulf of Mexico and the southeastern part of the U.S. Here in red, this is probably the main system of concern right now because it has most likely the best chance to intensify over the next few days, and it will continue on a track to the northwest over the next several days, likely continuing on this kind of a path to about this position. Now at this point, whether it continues in the northwest fashion right towards the U.S. East Coast or potentially turns away, hopefully that will be the case, but certainly cannot assume that that will happen at this time. System way up here, the northern part of the tropical Atlantic, probably has no chance for becoming a named storm, and yet another wave has just moved off the west coast of Africa. It will move right at the open waters of the tropical Atlantic over the next few days. So a lot of activity right now. The one right in the middle here is the one of main concern at this particular time. Well, let's take a look at last night's zero-Z run of the operational version of the GFS. I want to first start out by looking at the 500 millibar temperature, 500 millibar height anomaly pattern here, because that will be a key over the next several days as to what can happen to that system in the central part of the Atlantic Ocean. Now you can see right off the bat there are multiple players on the field. We have the deep upper level lows in this particular case over south central Canada, northern plains, another one right on the southern part of Greenland, yet another one off the southern coastline of Alaska. A lot of orange in between representing higher heights than normal. So multiple players on the field at the 500 millibar level, and that makes the forecast certainly trickier and something quite complicated that we'll have to decipher over the next several days. Now let's move forward here, and I'll tell you what I'm focusing in on right here. First of all, we have A strong cold frontal system that works its way from the Great Lakes through the Mid-Atlantic regions, through the Northeast U.S. on Tuesday night. It certainly can produce some strong thunderstorms late tomorrow into tomorrow night. D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, Boston. It'll be quite warm today and tomorrow with highs in that urban corridor, in the I-95 corridor, at or slightly above 90 degrees, but certainly much more comfortable air will follow that frontal system for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. A noticeable drop in humidity. This trough continues to move to the north and east later in the week, and here we are now getting into the end of the work week. This is the Friday forecast map. A couple areas of high pressure ridging. Remember, I always emphasize high pressure ridging over southeastern Canada this particular time of the year, because it helps to, in many cases, allow for the movement from east to west of tropical systems to undercut that ridge towards the U.S. East Coast or towards the Gulf of Mexico. Here we are at the end of the work week on Friday, just at the beginning stages of the Labor Day weekend. And here is a reflection of 500 millibars of that central Atlantic tropical system. Now, notice upstream there's another pretty vigorous upper level low here over central Canada by the time we get to Saturday. It's this coming Saturday during Labor Day weekend. A reflection of a tropical system way down here, the Yucatan Peninsula region, another one eastern Pacific Ocean, but this is the one of real concern here. Now this trough has some tentacles, let's say, that extend all the way out into the western Atlantic at this particular time, kind of split around it. Strong upper level ridging over Greenland and upper level high pressure over the south central part of Canada, northwestern part of the U.S. But will this particular system kind of get hooked up by that trough and in turn make a turn to the north and east? Still remains to be seen. That is on the table, that this trough becomes a little bit stronger than depicted here on the maps, and basically has an extension all the way out here into the western Atlantic, in which case it could help to turn this, and let's hope this is the scenario that ends up being the case here, could help to turn this to the north and east in that fashion. Now, if this turns out to be slightly weaker, this system could just kind of slide to the south and avoid, so to speak, that particular upper level trough, and that will be certainly increase concerns, because it could slide farther to the south of that upper level trough here, and it's something we'll monitor over the next several days. We'll keep moving forward here on this particular model run. Indeed, the kind of trough that has an extension out here helps to turn this system before it ever reaches the U.S. Now we're talking about Labor Day time frame, a week from now, next Monday. Notice a lot of high pressure ridging here setting up over the southern part of Canada, headed towards the eastern part of Canada. If in fact this storm slows down a little bit or goes a little bit farther to the south, it certainly can avoid that trough, which has an axis right here at this particular time, and it could just undercut that and continue to slide to the west and northwest this particular time. That is what we'll be tracking closely over the next several days. In particular, the interaction between this system and that incoming trough, seen right here a week from now, next Labor Day, next Monday afternoon, Monday evening time frame. And again, this particular model run kind of gets this system absorbed by that trough and turns it to the north and east. So something we'll monitor over the next several days. The tropics have been very quiet over the past many weeks, but now are active, and there certainly will be multiple systems to monitor over the next week to 10 days or so as we get into the early part of the month of September. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.